This is Stan Turk at John Dorian's 90th birthday. What an amazing man. I became a member of Colonial Country Club in 1990, and they adopted me into their group. It was John, Bill Struberry, Bud Davis, Billy Wells, and Don January. And you've never seen 6 guys work so hard to win $1 in all your life. But John certainly had the dry sense of humor of any of the guys in the group. As they were getting older, Billy Wells, who was a really good golfer, game started to deteriorate. And John looked at me one day and said, "I can't wait till Billy's handicap is higher than mine." Unfortunately, John didn't get his wish, because as Billy's game deteriorated, he quit playing. So John never got to have a lower handicap than Billy, but it's something I'll remember the rest of my life.
It all started, as far as Johnny and Paul, in the lower grades at Sacred Heart School, in the grammar school level of the grades. Johnny and Paul showed up in our school. I went 12 years there, and they showed up there. And then Valda must have taken them out. They must have moved, and they disappeared on me. And then they came back in the 9th grade. They showed up again. Both of our families moved, and we ended up about as far away as Archie Manning or Peyton could throw a football, that maybe 200 yards or something like that. And the guy is, I looked up the word in the dictionary, the guy is ubiquitous. Now some of you people might have to look up that word, you college graduates, but anyway, so we lived real close together. I used to go down to Johnny's house after school and worry the hell out of him. And then he'd come up to our house, and I had brothers, and Paul, I think, was with. We'd play penny poker and maybe nickel poker, in our house. Then we got a letter from, both of us got a letter from President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Believe it or not, he wrote us a letter. And so we ended up in the Army, was signed in right there. Dorian and Dugan, pretty close alphabetically. He was always one step ahead of me. And so we ended up in Camp Wheeler, Georgia. And we served about 17 weeks of training there. Came home for about 7 days with the Christmas time. Went to, caught the same train, went to Baltimore, got on a ship, went overseas together, and ended up, I believe we were around Metz, France. And that's when we split up. Johnny got sick, I think. I don't know, I guess it wasn't too bad. I think he was just afraid to get up there where those bullets were flying, And so I did run across him after the war over in Germany for just a brief moment there. And then he's just hung around ever since. I can't get away from the guy, And he doctored our kids. Ruthie says he about saved Lynn's life.
Oh, he saved our daughter's life. He came home.
She was seriously
sick. She
sick.
had a staph infection that was fighting every antibiotic they were giving her. She was in isolation. And the doctor told me if she didn't get pneumonia, she'd make it. And the little doctor came in and I said, "How's she doing?" He said, "She's got pneumonia." And I burst into tears. And about that time Johnny came in, he had been at a medical convention and he had learned a new medicine from somewhere he had been, and he started giving her these shots, and within a week she was well and we could take her home. And I just feel like he saved
I guess
her
we
life.
better look him up and thank him.
Yeah, I feel like he saved her life. I really do. He was awfully good to her too. So
Yeah.
he told me we played a game. She was only 7, and we had a cootie game with a big bug that you put pieces in. And he told me he was going to see that I got an award for playing the most cootie games in the hospital. So.
Well, John and I from Old Colonial, we're probably 2 of the oldest members out here today from Old Colonial.
Right, I remember when it was over on
Way
yeah,
back. We had a lot of fun. Of course, we went different routes. He went with the doctors and I went with the other people. So we didn't play a whole lot 8 or 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, just different lives we made, you know. But things went on and we moved out here, and I got older and John got older, and we had some nice fellas like Ward Huddleston and Dennis to play with us. In fact, they were nice enough to let us play with them. We had a good time. We had a fun and frivolity type of deal. I mean, they had let us play and we enjoyed it, and we played the short tees and it was all good.
And when it rained and there's cart path only.
And it's cart path only. Don't look for me or John. We're not going to be here.
Right.
And we'll call the other one to tell him, okay, cart's on the path.
In May of 1926, there was a big problem here in Memphis. The Commercial Field took a picture of it, and this was run in the paper just this past week. So I made a copy of it. But what it is where the Riverside Bluff, part of it collapsed in May of 1926. And everybody began to interpret that as a warning of a very momentous occasion that was about to take place. As it turned out, a couple of days later, Johnny was born and said we were right. That's the story of that one.
Well, it's probably been about 15 years or longer, I would say. And your dad came up with the idea totally. And he and I started kind of working together. I was a superintendent on the golf course at the time. So we kind of needed a lot of help. We got the University of Tennessee Extension Forestry Department to come in. And they gave us so many great ideas. But your dad gave the labor of love to that project. And I would help when I could and give a little manpower here and there. He would be over there just 3 or 4 days a week. And I guess it was just his, relaxation in his work that he gave, the love that he gave to the project. And we'd help out some, but he put all the financial backing into it. And we'd come up with another idea. And so first we came up with picnics and grills. And then next thing you know, he's got it done. And he's got someone out there putting picnic tables and grills in. And he walks the trail every day, or 3 or 4 days a week. We'd clean things and cut limbs, and we would do mulch. And then we decided, we needed to have a fishing area. So then we came up with the fishing pier. And he would have the lake stocked and built the pier. And it was just really, really unique. And a lot of people really enjoyed it. It was very peaceful. It was probably a mile or so walk through the woods, and he kept the trail in such great shape. It was just a lot of fun working with your dad.
We went dancing, and I looked up, and John and this big lady were on the floor. John was in her shoes, and she was in his, and they danced the entire dance that way.
Hello, I'm Valerie. I worked for Dr. Dorian for 25 years, and it was the best years of my life. He was a lovely boss. And very easygoing, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, always easygoing. We could always tell what kind of mood he was going to be in by the way he slammed the back door when he walked in.
And we would always laugh after he slammed the door.
And then, but we stopped laughing when he came in because
yeah.
you did not laugh.
You had a stern face.
Do not laugh when he's in a room with a patient because that patient doesn't know if you're laughing at them. And he always told us that.
Oh, yeah.
He said, don't do it. And so we never did. But I worked a total of 8 years.
He was really a lovely boss.
Great boss.
He really was. And I always felt like if I was in trouble or anything, because me being in England and with no family, I could always go to him if I had a problem. But lucky enough, I didn't in all those years.
That's true.
He would have been up by our side, wouldn't he?
Yeah. No doubt about it. He would have.
He was wonderful. And a wonderful doctor.
Yes.
I don't remember him ever. When he diagnosed the patient, that was it. He hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, because I went in one morning, I'd eaten 2 donuts and a Coke, and he came in, and I told him that my side was hurting. And he told Valerie to get me on the table, and he just pushed down. Then he had her come and do a blood test, and they're outside the door just talking, and I get off the table trying to hear. I had a appendicitis attack, and I had to get to the hospital. He told Mother, don't go over those railroad tracks down there by Humco fast, because he was afraid it would rupture. So just like that, he was a fantastic person and doctor.
I taught Granddad this game called Slapjack, and after the 4th round, he beat me, and I just taught it to him.
Something I really remember the most about my Uncle Johnny is that every year at Christmas we do this silent auction thing, and he always likes to have me pick out the gift that he will open. And sometimes he'll keep it, and sometimes he'll steal. And sometimes when he keeps it, it's for somebody else, but sometimes when he keeps it, it's for him. And I remember one year I pulled out one that was kind of, tall, and I thought it looked interesting, and he opened it up and it was a bottle of Jameson, and he kept that one for himself. And I remember when I was really little, we went to the beach one time, and we talked a lot, and I remember that I showed him the seashells that I got from the beach.
I bought myself a fedora, and I was about 14, I think. And it was green, and I never wear green, but I bought that one. It had a little feather in the hat band and everything. I was really proud of it. And I was going to go out one evening and go to the movies or something and wear my hat. So I looked in the hall closet there and tried to reach for my hat, and it was gone. And I asked Mother, I said, where's my hat? Where's my hat? It's gone, it's gone. She said, Johnny wore it. I said, that dirty rat, he wore my hat. I was so proud of that hat. And it's a good thing he wasn't there, because he'd have hurt me before it was over with.
Uncle Johnny, you're the best. Okay. Happy birthday. I love you.
John has been a longtime friend of ours. We all go out on Thursday night. He was a friend of my husband's when we had the country club. John brought all the children, and we had a swimming pool, guitar-shaped pool. Brought the children out there, and BG loved to kid him about bringing all of his children out there. And now John was really nice to me after BG died. He took me to Medical Society ball and took me down the river to dinner one night, and then in Overton Square, it was a real nice restaurant. He took me one night.
I'll just say happy birthday, Uncle Johnny, and a couple of stories. First memory I had really of Uncle Johnny was when I attended his graduation from medical school. My mom took me there, and I can remember we were all there in Memphis at the medical school for his graduation. And I remember Johnny, shortly after he was in his practice, he had this big Pontiac car. And he used to like to drive that car fast. And he would get tickets for driving fast, and he would tell the officer that he was on a medical emergency, and so that's why he had to drive fast. Been kind of a family historian, and have been doing a lot of genealogy work, and I traced the Dorian ancestors, Johnny's father, back through Ireland and back to the late 1700s. But what was really interesting is tracing his mother's side, my grandmother, and found that actually her family traced back to an English family that had come to America in the early 1700s. And the way they got to America was that the family in England was actually part of the royal family. And one of the Duke's sons married an Irish girl. And at that time, that was grounds for banishment. So he was banished to America and ended up fighting in the Revolutionary War against the British. So he kind of paid back.
He showed them.
He showed them. So I wanted to go back into England and try and find how far back and what the relationships were. And I've been able to trace back a direct line, and I found just a few weeks ago a record of, this is a copy of the Magna Carta, which was signed in 1225, and found out that two of Johnny's uncles, 23rd great uncles, Reginald de Gros and William de Beauchamp, actually signed the Magna Carta. And so we had this printed up because that's pretty unique in being able to trace the family back that far. Johnny, happy birthday and many more.
My Uncle Johnny is a great, great guy. But all of his family knows he is a little bit frugal. He's always owned nice cars. He's been a Cadillac man most of his life. But in 1989, he bought a new BMW 3 Series. He came to Paducah. My daughter just became 16 years old, and he let her drive this car. And I asked him, I said, Johnny, this is a BMW. What do you think about this car? And he told me, I have owned a lot of cars in my life, but this is the first automobile I've ever owned. I love it. Well, in the late 80s, if you had a new BMW, your oil changes were about $300. And as soon as he went back to the dealership and got himself a $300 oil change, he went back to his friend Bud Davis and traded for a new Cadillac. He was done with BMWs. He hadn't had another one since. And that's great. And everybody knows Uncle Johnny knew he was not going to keep a BMW with $300 oil changes. So that's a great story. Now, how close I have been to Uncle Johnny is, now this is where I might get a little bit maudlin. I don't mean to be. But when I was 15 years old, my father died. Uncle Johnny came to Paducah for the funeral. And we had so many people at the house that we had to get some motel rooms. Uncle Johnny took me to a motel in Lone Oak with my brother Jack's in-laws, the Belotes. We all went out to the Lone Oak Motel, and we spent the night there, and the next morning we went and had breakfast at the Waffle House before the funeral. And that meant so much to me. I'm still not able to speak without becoming emotional. Because I thought that was the greatest thing ever.
So the first time I remember meeting Uncle Johnny, we came to Memphis. It was a whole entourage. My parents, my grandmother, Bill, Aunt Pat, I mean the whole crew came. And he was visiting from Saudi Arabia when he was over there working. So he go where we had dinner, and I don't even remember how old I was. I was probably, I don't know, 8, 9, 7, somewhere in that range. So it's very young. And I remember around dessert, he leaves the table and he comes back in all of his, headgear, and I'm just amazed. I mean, here is this man who is super cool with all these great stories, full of life, and loves to tell stories and loves to go on adventures. And he's in all this garb that I don't know what it means when I'm, a middle schooler. And it was just so amazing to hear his stories. And then he brings out these photo albums. And I remember seeing pictures of the Taj Mahal and Ireland and, Saudi Arabia, and just all of these places that he had been. One picture stands out. It was Kilimanjaro with an eagle off of a branch, and I just remember his love of life and how he wanted to, live in every moment and have an adventure, and how he instilled that in his everyone he was around, not just his kids and his relatives, but everyone that he was around. And I think I took that as part of living life to the fullest. So I will just say, happy 90th, Uncle Johnny. Happy Red Nose Day, and we'll see you in a few years to celebrate more.
I'm one of John's widow ladies that he's been looking after for the last 15 years, and we love John, and he's a great man. We're really proud of him, but I've tried to clean up my story that I wanted to tell about John. We used to go to Florida every year. The men all played golf. The women all tried to play golf. And at night, there were no holds barred. And one night, I was in bed, and the noise upstairs was kind of getting on my nerves. So I got out of the bed, went upstairs, and my husband and John were up there entertaining the people that lived on the other side of the duplex. And they were having such fun, and I broke that up. But in the meantime, the other families that owned another duplex, she got up in the night and locked the door, and John had to sleep in the car all night.
Like the times when y'all used to go out to dinner and
well, actually what we really did is they all played on Thursday. There were 8 of course, but there were 7 doctors and 1 stockbroker, and that was B.D. Hughes. He's gone.
Right.
His wife just died recently.
So the guys would play golf.
And then we would all, the wives would be waiting to either go out or somebody that would invite them to their house. All, what would that be? That would be 16 people. Yeah, that's pretty good. But, we did that pretty good. I mean, maybe once a month, one of us, or maybe more than that. I mean, I liked having them at my house. And I think everybody else did too. I mean, we loved that group very much.
Happy birthday. Can't tell you enough how much you mean to me through my whole life. Your guidance has been fantastic. And not only for myself, but most of the testimony that you've seen tonight is a testament of how great of a person and impact you've made on life itself. I think one of the biggest things that you've ever tried to instill in people is just the fact that appreciate life and everything that's given us. And you certainly exemplify that through everything that you've taught your kids and myself, whether it's actually expressed all the time, it's probably not true, but it's certainly felt throughout all your kids and all the other people that have talked about tonight and the people that couldn't be here. You've made a mark on several people's lives, and I appreciate that because I can't go anywhere with my last name without somebody saying, "Are you Dr. Dorian's son?" And I'm proud to say I am. And I'm very proud to be your son. And I love you, and happy 90th, and I'll see you in 10 years when we do the 100th. Thanks.
Happy birthday, Uncle Johnny. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Granddad.
Happy birthday, Granddad.
Happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday. Yeah, for
Happy
sure.
birthday, Uncle Johnny.
He's a good guy.
John, welcome to West Tennessee Skydive. What brings you out here today?
Well, I had all these people, I didn't know how to entertain them. So I thought I'd be a little innovative.
Yeah?
And pretty soon I'm going to let them go up instead of me.
Roger that. So who are all these people here with you?
Starting on my left is just
Yeah?
Stephanie.
Yeah?
Stephanie. And then Ken,
Uh-huh.
my son-in-law, Chris, my son.
Yeah?
Jennifer, my daughter.
Yeah?
And Pat, my son. And Jessica, there we come.
Awesome. And who are these two down here, or these three?
Grand dogs.
I hear you.
Pepper, Rocky, and Gus.
John,
Yes,
tell me
sir.
what you're about to do today. What are you about to do today?
I'm about to dive, I don't know from where, but I hope I can make that first step.
Well, let me tell you what you're about to do, John. You're about to jump out of a plane that's up in the air right now from 14,500 feet. You're going to free fall for a couple miles, going about 120 plus miles an hour, okay? You're going to free fall going about pretty fast, right? After you free fall a couple miles, you're going to open up on a parachute and slide on in. How's that sound?
That sounds like Chris ought to be the one.
Is there any famous last words you want to tell other family and friends before you get up in the sky? What do you want to tell everybody?
Well, I guess there's so much good in the worst of us and so much bad in the best of us that it hardly behooves any of us to talk about the rest of us.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Legs up, legs up, legs up, legs up. Nice! Woo! That was awesome!
Is it appropriate to kiss the ground? Well, it was just like it was advertised, only better. What time tomorrow?